Umudu Gajaga, and thank you for joining us. First, here are the main news headlines. A delegation from the International Transport Workers Association have ended a 5-day engagement with actors in the Gambia's transport sector. A day-long high-level private sector dialogue on assessing private sector preparedness in implementing the Africa Continental Free Trade Area was organized by the Ministry of Trade. Aon International, the Gambia, in partnership with the National AIDS Secretariat, wrapped up a sensitization forum for 26 imams on HIV and AIDS-related issues. Watermelon vendors on Caraba Avenue appealed to government's Operation Clear the Roads task force to allow them to finish selling their melons as the fruits are perishable. And in sports news, with 18 days to go, as the Scorpions of the Gambia look forward to their second ever appearance at the Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast from January 13th to February 11th next year, we take a closer look at how some of the teams are preparing ahead of the tournament. Those are some of the news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. A delegation from the International Transport Workers Association have ended a 5-day engagement with actors in the Gambia's transport sector. The General Transport Union, together with the ITF delegation, held a media briefing at the GTU's headquarters in Banjul. Lamin Choi has more on this story.
The International Transport Workers Federation has at least 677 member organizations in more than 149 countries. 5 years after the Gambia Seafarers Association joined, the General Transport Union followed this year. A delegation from ITF Regional Office in Africa visits the Gambia to engage and understand the Gambia's transport sector and the challenges facing it. Omar Sise is the president of the General Transport Union of the Gambia.
Drivers, we visit 2 garages, Abuko Central Garage and Brikama Garage. They have discussion with the drivers. Drivers trace their concern to them, what they have been facing as a transporter. We have discussion with the maritime, the fisheries, the dock workers at the port, the hotel workers, the tourist taxis, tour guards, the chief of staff, officer of the president, minister of trade, minister of labor. So that we can have exactly what is happening as an oversight body also, as far as they are representing transporters at the global level, so that in that discussion also they have role to play in terms of the workers' right. We are receiving a series of support from them in terms of capacity building. Because I, as president, I invited a series of seminars, programs in terms of capacity building. So we think that is very important.
As a democratic affiliate-led federation, the ITF is recognized as the world's leading transport authority, which provides a platform for more than 18.5 million transport workers worldwide. The federation's main goal is to protect and improve safety and welfare of transport workers across the world. Baila Sow is the ITF Regional Deputy Secretary for Africa.
But the main thing is we need to have strong union. We are working on it. Strong union capable to tackle all the key issues as lack of decent work, road harassment and illicit perception, insecurity. The road accident are very high in Africa. Quality of the services. Sometimes you have some drivers in a dirty clothes. It's not good. We need to professionalize this job also. And also, what we can do is to see how we can promote, how we can increase the access of the women in the transport sector.
With hundreds of transport organizations affiliated with it, the International Transport Workers Federation represents the interests of transport workers' unions in bodies such as the International Labour Organization and International Maritime Organization. It also organizes international solidarity actions when member unions are in conflict with employers or government. The General Transport Union anticipates more collaboration with the ITF to advance the wishes and aspirations of transport workers on a global level. Mahmoud Lamin, QTV News.
A day-long high-level private sector dialogue on assessing private sector preparedness in implementing the Africa Continental Free Trade Area was organized by the Ministry of Trade on Thursday. More in this report. The forum brought together private sector stakeholders and policymakers to discuss African Continental Free Trade Agreement, AFCFTA, modalities and implementation. The AFCFTA is the world's largest free trade zone, bringing together 55 African Union member countries and 8 regional economic communities to form a single market for the continent. The importance was emphasized by Abdoulaye Jammeh, the Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Trade.
One of the advantages of the AFCFTA in terms of the agreements is there is a number of modalities that have been put in place to ensure that member states to the agreements comply with the requirements of the AFCFTA. So under the AFCFTA, each of the member states that is a party would be able to trade with all other trading partners under the same conditions. So they have also, the agreement has also put in place some of the instruments that both the private sector and the public can use if you think that your right to trade within if your rights are affected. For example, if you are exporting to any of the member states, including Senegal, and you feel that certain measures have been taken that you think that are not consistent with the requirements of the agreement, you as a private operator can notify.
The AFCFTA came into force in May 2019 as a historic milestone for the African continent. The free trade area will enable the free flow of goods and services across the continent and boost the trading position of Africa in the global market. However, its implementation has been a challenge. Honorable Sir Farimang Saho, Executive Director of the Association of Gambian Manufacturers, and Mamadou Haidara, Managing Director of JAL Company, highlighted some of the challenges.
Are we really ready for this AFTC? Are we, the manufacturers, ready? Are the government ready to really protect our industry? Are the government having policies, for example, at the Ministry of Justice, a protection or a law that will say to the Gambian manufacturers, your product will be the one we're prioritizing to supply our demand? For example, the flowers manufacturers. Can the government say, okay, this is the standard flower that will be consumed by the Gambians? Then we have a market. Can the government say the thousands of road network or projects or schools that we are building, Salam or Jar Oil Cements will be the #1 priorities, to supply this? Are our school feeding programs, Gambia poultry farmers or Gambia agriculturers will be the one to supply those things? Let's start protecting our industries. Those are the questions. Once we are ready, then we can open up to the market.
It will be very difficult for Senegal to allow cement in Senegal because they have cement factories. And their policy is to protect their local components. But the opposite is what happens in the Gambia. The Gambian invests in a sector. Instead of the government says, yes, let's make sure that we protect this sector, they leave it open. And then as time goes on, cheap products start coming in. Maybe the quality you are producing is better, and then you can go any further. There is nothing better than a local product.
The dialogue also provides a forum for industry leaders, policy experts, and business executives to have meaningful discussions about how the private sector can use the AFCFTA to gain access to a larger market and create networks for investment and commercial exchanges. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News. Aon International, the Gambia, in partnership with the National AIDS Secretariat, wrapped up a sensitization forum for 26 imams on HIV/AIDS and related issues. Jilden Jai attended the closing at the Action Aid headquarters in Kanifing and Sina reports.
The HIV prevalence rate in the Gambia stands at 1.5% based on the National 2020 Sentinel Survey. Therefore, there are over 26,000 estimated people living with the virus in the country. Out of this figure, the officials are able to diagnose only 51%, which is around 14,000 people. they can put about 61% of those who are found to be positive on treatment. The most prevalent cases are noticeable amongst female sex workers and members of the LGBT community. Also, most people refrain from getting tested for HIV due to the possible stigma and discrimination in society. Here is Omar Jawara, the Monitoring and Evaluation Officer at the Action Aid Global Fund project.
We felt that looking at the global target of 95-95, Gambia as a country is not doing very well. So in order to be able to achieve those global targets, we need a collaborative approach and a strategy. That is, we open our arms towards communities, the people we felt that can play a key role in trying to disseminate the information to the society out there. So we felt that the imams are also important individuals in the communities. So this is why they are invited to be able to strengthen their understanding on issues surrounding HIV, so that they can use their platform to be able to talk to people on HIV.
In December 2020, UNAIDS released ambitious new targets calling for 95% of all the people living with HIV to know their HIV status, 95% of all the people with diagnosed HIV infection to receive sustained antiretroviral therapy, and 95% of all the people receiving antiretroviral therapy to have viral suppression by 2025. Themba Jallo, a representative from the Gambia Supreme Islamic Council, urged the imams to make the best use of the knowledge gained during the training.
Mansakunda la institutional beka dukuke aning NGO ka dukuke aning parastatal ka dukuke mana.
I am calling on the imams to disseminate this information in their sermons, in naming ceremonies and gatherings. The importance of acquiring knowledge is to disseminate it.
Imam Omarja, a participant, says fighting HIV requires a concerted effort, which is why the imams also join the crusade, as anyone can be infected if not careful.
Léegi liñ expect ci imam yi nga xam ne ñoo fi teew kenn ku ci nekk gëm nañ ne yaa ngi am place booy xutba.
What I expect from the imams present here is to use the avenues available to them to create awareness about the virus in their programs or radio talk shows, about the ways to eradicate the disease. I expect every imam to do that.
The majority of people have trust and confidence in their religious leaders and expect them to have high ethical standards. For that reason, disseminating what they have learned here to their congregation is more likely to influence people for positive attitudinal change. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
From that report by Julden Jai, we'll now take a commercial break, and when we return, we'll still have some more national and sports news stories. Do stay tuned.
For all your electronic cooking utensil needs, worry no more. Deka Killer Jongoma Kitchen is the solution. Deka Killer brings modern, efficient and affordable cooking materials such as gas cookers, heaters, coffee machines, fridges, ceiling and stand fans, among other valuable home and restaurant materials. Located at Serekunda Bambo opposite Sanchapa Garas, Deka Killer is making fun life easier by offering you guaranteed and cost-effective electronic cooking materials. You can contact us on 348-2307 or 728-5372. We are also on Facebook, Deka Killer The Gambia. Email dekakillergambia@gmail.com. Deka Killer Jongoma Kitchen is the solution for all your home appliances and electronic cooking utensil needs. Roast now, Deka Killer making fun life easier. Deka Killer everything for cooking. Deka Killer is the right place to be.
Kamala Beach Resort, Oceanfront, presents the grand, spectacular, mega explosive New Year's Eve upmarket gala dinner with a difference. With the Cora Prince, Africa's rising star, the melodic voice of Manding, Sidiki Jabati, taking the nation by storm, and the soulful voice of the nation's pride, Barhama Jama, an unforgettable night, the fireworks display,
Pebbles, gold, $50,000 C, platinum, $65,000 C, time 8 p.m. onwards. For reservations, call 594-7777. Proudly sponsored by QCell, Sunu Boss. Happy New Year to you all.
Welcome back and thank you very much for joining us. This is QTV News. Watermelon vendors on Caraba Avenue on Saturday appealed to government's Operation Clear the Roads Task Force to allow them to finish selling their melons as the fruits are perishable. Their appeal follows a recent disclosure by the task force chairman that they will, in the coming weeks, clear structures encroaching along Caraba Avenue. More in this report by Ansumane Sonyasi.
Caraba Avenue appears to be the watermelon capital of the Kanifing municipality. Every year, many farmers and dealers occupy the roadsides to display the fruits, which attracts lots of people who love melons. However, vendors at various spots along Caraba Avenue have been on the alert since the commencement of Operation Clear the Roads, especially when the issue of encroachments on Caraba Avenue was raised by some members of the public. Not knowing when the task force will get to them, they call on government to give them a grace period until at least after the New Year celebrations, considering that watermelons are perishable fruits that are difficult to transport. Adama Sanyang is one of many young Gambians selling watermelon on Caraba Avenue. We thank God that business is doing well these days, and most of us are hopeful that we will soon finish selling and return to our families. However, I am worried that the ongoing operation may affect us because these are perishable fruits. I appreciate and support the operation, and while I continue to pray that I finish selling all I have here before they come, I hope authorities would give us at least 2 weeks. Mr. Sanyang implores the public to patronize them so they can sell what's left of their watermelons, and went on to explain the many benefits watermelons have. Watermelon is good, especially for one's health. It has very rich nutrients such as vitamins, protein and potassium. The benefits are many, and I encourage everyone to eat watermelons. Usman Keta is also a Gambian farmer who has been selling watermelon for the past 10 years. I farm and sell all my produce here in the Gambia, and I am proud of my fellow sellers here. We are all Gambians who strongly believe in making it in the Gambia. So far, business have been good. Watermelons are special fruits with a lot of health benefits. On the impending arrival of the task force, Usman says he fully supports the operation. However, he too is asking for a grace period. I will not be selfish because the operation will affect my business. No one should think like that. We have to be responsible as citizens. Country first is what I believe. You cannot claim to be patriotic and then go against a good government directive that will make the roads safer for everyone. But I'm worried that if they come now, the impact would be devastating for us. Imagine after spending months on the farm, only to lose everything in one day. That is really hard. His fellow watermelon seller, Abdullah Jallo, also calls on the public to patronize them to quickly finish their sales. He encourages government to provide more support to young people who want to venture into farming. Come and buy the watermelons and enjoy it with your families, especially during these holidays. You buying them will also give us time to be with our families, and you will enjoy the health benefits too, so it's a win for everyone. Watermelon is a delicious and refreshing fruit, high in vitamin C, vitamin A and many other health benefits. The sweet fruit easily serves as a quick snack for people on the move, a healthy dessert after having meal, or simply juiced into a refreshing drink to quench one's thirst. Answane Nyasi for KTV News.
The mass movement of people, especially youth from their communities in search of jobs, better lives and other reasons is affecting many rural communities. One such place is Kaur, and Don Williams went to find out.
Migration is the movement of people or animals from one place to another. It is first and foremost a normal human activity. Kaur, a once prosperous, vibrant and productive town of the country, is now almost deserted. Entering the town, one can sense of fear and air of loneliness because there are very few people in the community. Mustafa Njai, the Alcalo of Kau, speaking to QTV, gave a brief overview of Kau of yesteryears and of some of the factors leading to people migrating.
During the time of the colonial era, and as well as during the time of the First Republic, where many people used to come here. Then there was a groundnut decorating plant, and it was called the GPMB. After it was called GGC. Before GGC, it was GPMB, and in 1993, the company that collapsed.
I next spoke to Ibrahima Mane, the youth leader of Kau of Town. He said that in the past, Kau was known as the second capital of the Gambia, but today it's a different story and expanded on some of the issues currently affecting the town.
Today, when you come to Kau, looking at Kau, you'll be totally side. It's a different story. And then we are calling for the authorities and people that are concerned to come and help us to see that what they are talking of, so that we can achieve that.
He further outlined some of the main challenges and appeals for intervention to turn around the situation.
The water that we are drinking are not potable water, because the water that we are drinking in Kau here, everybody can attest to that. The water is just from the tap, from the ground straight to the pipe. That's how it comes to the homes. That's how we drink it. It's not been filtered. It has not been processed. Nothing, absolutely. That's how we are drinking that water. And then we have been complaining this for all along, but yet still there is no improvement in that. Secondly, also the depot. We are still appealing to the authorities that are concerned that the depot, they need to help us to revitalize the depot.
From the voice of the people, one can see that some of their appeals are in line with government plans for youths and President Barrow's comments on his recent Meet the People tour about efforts by his government to address this situation. Don Williams, QTV News.
Now to sports news. As the Scorpions of the Gambia look forward to taking part on the